Chioma, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start with the Treasury bills market. We did see some mixed sentiments yesterday, but bring us up to speed in terms of how yesterday played out and what we can expect from today's trading.
Well, the sentiment we saw in the market was as a result of the liquidity play. We've seen liquidity slowly thin out of the system as a result of funding for FX and then some statutory debits. Coming in today, the liquidity in the system was about 90 billion. So what we've seen across the T-bill curve, especially at the short end of the T-bill curve, is a lot of rediscounting, where we see investors trying to rediscount their bills to get liquidity, So as a result of that, we saw rates at the shortest end of the T-bill curve get to as high as 13%, and then the mid and the long tenor remained at 12.7, 12.5. That play is going to continue till we see the liquidity slowly come back into the system. On Thursday, we expect about 1.2 trillion come into the system as a result of maturity from bond auction, coupon payments, and then 440 billion also from OMO maturities. So that will help ease the liquidity.
That is a lot of liquidity coming into the system, and we know that as usual, the CBN would usually come in to mop up. But I'm just wondering how much of that can the CBN quickly mop up?
Well, we have 440 coming in for OMO maturity, so we expect that they will come and mop that up. However, we're going to be funding for FX. There's a retail auction, so that will also take care of some of the liquidity in the system. And then, of course, we'll start we see banks trying to repay, try to create loans as advised by the CBN. So there's going to be a lot of utilization of the liquidity in the system.
And I've been thinking about how investors, since this policy around the OMO market and who cannot play at the market, and how investors have now adjusted to this new era, as it were, at least for now. Would you say that investors are now used to this new system, and you're just saying, okay, this is where we are. This is where we are for now. There might be changes coming, later on. We don't know, but how would you say they're settling into this new system?
For any investors, I think it's what they look at is for them to be able to the depth and liquidity of the market. So the depth and liquidity of the market, where you can be able to come, buy and sell. I believe that we have a market where the OMO side of the market, where you can actually, it's trading, so you can actually come in and buy and discount when you want to. So the investors have gotten used to it. We, the locals, have gotten used to it. So we have a lot of concentration from the locals on other classes of investable assets. We've seen promissory notes, we've seen commercial papers. We've seen a lot of interest in bonds right now, especially now that we expect liquidity in the market. In the bond space, the funny thing is that there's been a mixed market where we've seen a lot of interest at the 49s, which is currently trading above 12%. So it's a mixture of interests in the market.
Or just investors just saying, you know what, I'll take what I can get.
Of course, and most times, like when the rates got to about 13%, we saw some bargain buys from investors, even banks that could take 13% for about say 2 weeks. 2 weeks T-bills investment, which was good. So we've seen a lot of mixed sentiments in the market overall.
We have about a minute left. Let's quickly talk about the FX market. The CBN is still trying to keep things stable, but we're seeing that slight decline in the FX reserves, and we're seeing that disparity between what the Naira is trading at the INE window and at the parallel market. Still 360 at the parallel market, somewhere around 364 at the INE window. Just bring us up to speed on supply-demand dynamics that we're seeing now.
Oh, like you said, supply-demand. The CBN has put things in place. Like for the parallel market, we've seen it's been supported by the SME and invisible space, where CBN sells funds to SME and invisible. Those kinds of funds help to support the parallel market, because you see people that have little, like to pay school fees, they go and pressure the parallel market. So CBN has provided funds for that. And CBN, again, has also tried their best to try and intervene in the market. We've seen them offer on the retail and wholesales, and then from time to time they come into the INE to intervene. So I feel there's going to be some revaluation in the near term, but 364 where we're trading for right now.
Okay, Chioma, thank you so much for talking to us today. Pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you.
Chioma Udu, Forex Trader at GT Bank, taking us through Nigeria's fixed income and FX market.